Okay, guys. So this time I actually think that I took it a little bit harder, and I'm not trying to say that I didn't love my first two babies, because I love them to death. I love all of my children to death. I love them all equally, and I think it was just because my thing was it took 5 years to get pregnant. After that second miscarriage, even after the first miscarriage, I turned my back to God. And I walked away from him, and I walked closer to the darkness, and I was in that darkness for 4 years. Then to have that strength to one day just wake up and say, I'm going to church, I really need to change. And being that a whole year has gone by, and I have built a strong relationship, the strongest relationship I ever had with God, and I built it, I honestly thought that, if I get pregnant again, God is going to reward me, and he's going to take me to that next step, to where we're going to be proud parents, and we're going to be able to bring home this baby, and we're going to be able to do everything that we've ever planned for our child. But unfortunately, when the miscarriage happened, that was devastating, just like any other time. So I think I'm getting a little off the subject, but when are we going to start trying again? Who knows? I mean, doctors, okay, if this wasn't my third miscarriage with no real known cause, doctors used to tell me 2 cycles and then you can start trying again. This time around, the doctor that did my D&C said, I'm sending you to a genetic specialist because there's something else there. Although in the back of my mind and in my heart, and I know God is telling me this, that I don't need all this extra testing, but hey, if it's gonna help me, I'm gonna do it. Because you know what, I've had this testing done with this pregnancy, everything. I've had vials and vials and vials of blood taken out so they can test things. But the one thing that they never ever tested for was my progesterone level. And in my heart, right away, right when I found out I was pregnant, if I miscarry, this is gonna be because of progesterone. It's just something that I've just been researching for 5 years, and I've been, I don't have all that much knowledge behind it, but I've just been researching about different hormones and stuff like that. And it wasn't until recently that I have found out that progesterone, having a deficiency of progesterone can, prolong the time for you to get pregnant, prolong ovulation, just different stuff in order for that baby to implant, in order for you to have a successful pregnancy. So honestly, in my heart, I honestly do think that it has to do with my progesterone, because that's the only thing that the doctor did not test for. He tested when I went to my midwife, when I was transferred from my OB to my midwife told me, this doctor must have been crazy, because it was like 10 pieces of paper that on there is like, okay, tested negative for this, tested negative for this, tested negative for this, tested good for this, tested that. And the doctor even checked my glucose and all that stuff that not another doctor would have ever checked for. And I wish that the first OB that I had with this pregnancy was more on his game and tested the progesterone. But when I had told him about it, he's like, oh, I don't believe progesterone has anything to do with pregnancy. Progesterone this and that. And I told him about the research that I've done, and he's like, well, that's just one-sided. So I honestly think that it has something to do with my progesterone. But how long it's going to, when we're going to be able to conceive again, when they're going to give us the okay to conceive again, I really don't know. And I pray to God that he sent us to this midwife so they can send me to this specialist, so the specialist can actually have answers for us and let us know when. I pray to God that we can start trying to conceive right away, after we have 2 normal cycles or whatever it may be. But I honestly do believe that it has to do with my progesterone. That's my thing, that's just my story. So it's just so many things that has to play in effect. Mentally, am I ready to conceive again? Are me and my husband ready to conceive again? Most definitely. We're most definitely ready to conceive again. I asked him after the D&C, and it was a couple days after. I had the D&C on on a Friday, and it was like that Tuesday he was off, and I had asked him, I was like, babe, I was like, when do you want to start trying again? I was like, this is something that they're gonna ask us. I was like, this is something we need to know. And we both sat there, we both weighed the pros and the cons and stuff like that, and we're like, you know what, we want to try to conceive, you know, right away as soon as we get that green light, because we don't want to have to go 5 years out the line, because if I wait another 5 years, I'll be closer to 30, and it'll be harder for us. My husband is 3 years older than me, so it would be harder for him as well. There's so many things that play in effect, and it's just one thing that it's always going to stay with us. We've said it. I mean, after my second miscarriage, I didn't want to try again. I never wanted to try again. And then months passed by, and I'm like, or not months, but weeks passed by, like about a month and a half later, and I was like, you know what, I really want to try again. So we waited the 2 cycles, and we never got pregnant. It took us 5 years. So we really don't want to wait any longer than we need to. So that's just my video on basically, you know, how we're coping and when we feel that we're ready to conceive again. And if you guys have any questions or anything like that, email address will be down below or wherever. I'll even put it on the side during the video if I know how to do that. I don't know if I know how to do that. And then just email me there, and any questions that I get there, I'll do a video for it. So God bless to every one of you guys out there. Thank you so much for your